Valentine's Day, a day of love, romance, and expensive gifts. But what if I told you it has nothing to do with love and everything to do with a violent, pagan festival, human sacrifices, and an executed priest? Before Valentine's Day, ancient Romans celebrated Lupercalia, a brutal fertility festival held every February 15th. It was dedicated to Faunus, the god of fertility, and the legendary founders of Rome, Romulus and Remus. The festival began with priests sacrificing goats and dogs. Their blood was smeared on the foreheads of young men, followed by a feast and drinking. Then came the strangest part. Men would take strips of goat skin, soaked in blood, and run through the streets whipping women. And here's the crazy part. Women actually lined up for it. They believed being whipped would increase their fertility and help them bear children. Then men randomly drew the names of women from a jar, and the two were paired together, sometimes for the festival, sometimes for the whole year, and sometimes for, well, let's just say more intimate reasons. Women had no right to say anything or reject the man in this random picking. Lupercalia was a wild mix of ritual, superstition, and open debauchery, far from the chocolates and roses we know today. Fast forward a few centuries, and Rome was no longer pagan, it had turned Christian. But Lupercalia was still wildly popular. In 496 AD, Pope Gelasius I finally banned Lupercalia, calling it unchristian and immoral. But rather than let go of the festival completely, the church did something clever. They rebranded it as Valentine's Day, moving it to February 14th and naming it after Saint Valentine, a Christian martyr who had absolutely nothing to do with romance. So, who was Saint Valentine? There were actually several Saint Valentines, but the most famous was a Christian priest in 3rd century Rome. At the time, Emperor Claudius II banned marriages for young men, believing single men made better soldiers. But Valentine defied the order and performed secret weddings for Christian couples. When Claudius found out, Valentine was arrested and sentenced to death. On February 14, 269 AD, Valentine was beheaded. So while the day is named after him, it was originally a day of mourning, not love. It wasn't until the 14th century that Valentine's Day became linked to romantic love, thanks to poet Geoffrey Chaucer. By the Middle Ages, people started writing love letters and calling each other Valentine. And by the 19th century, Valentine's Day had become a full-blown romantic holiday. By the 1800s, mass-produced Valentine's Day cards became popular, turning love into a business. Today, the holiday is a $25 billion industry, with people buying flowers, chocolates, and jewelry, but few know the real history behind it. Not everyone celebrates Valentine's Day. Many Christian groups reject it because of its pagan roots, while some Muslim scholars forbid it, calling it an imitation of non-Islamic traditions. In some countries, Valentine's Day is outright banned, seen as a Western import that promotes materialism and un-Islamic relationships. So, is Valentine's Day really about love? Or is it a holiday built on the blood of ancient sacrificial rituals of the pagans? The Romans abandoned Lupercalia, but have we truly escaped its shadow? What do you think? Should we celebrate it, or let it go like the Romans did with Lupercalia? Let me know in the comments.